Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, life just keeps testing you in ways you didn't sign up for? If that sounds like you, trust me when I say you're not alone. So many of us are running on empty, juggling career, family, and personal expectations, and still feeling like we're barely keeping it together. I want to welcome you back to the Higher Alignment Podcast. I'm Mintu Lam, and I help high performing executives not only stop burning out, but find peace and happiness again in their personal and professional careers. Today, I want to share a story with you that's close to my heart. We're diving into how one of my clients, Carly Bolin, faced a year that almost broke her professionally and personally, and how she found small, powerful ways to reclaim herself, her presence, and her energy even when everything felt impossible. I want you to stick around because by the end of this episode, you'll hear the real steps she took to navigate chaos without losing herself in the process and how you can apply them when life feels overwhelming. Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast, where high performers come to grow without stress, shame, or burning out. I'm Mintu Lam, and I'm here to help you work smarter, live fuller, and feel like yourself again. If you're tired of running on empty, book your complimentary assessment call at higheralignmentconsulting.com/program, and let's figure out what's draining your energy and what you can do to start feeling happy and peaceful once again. You can find the link in the show notes. Now let's get into the episode. Well, Carly, it is November 14th, halfway through the month. Tell me how this year has been for you already in Cole's notes. Like if you just had to give me a summary for 2025, what it's been like for you, what would you say?
I would say 2025 has been the hardest year that we've faced as a family, professionally, personally, all the above. I would say it's been definitely the hardest year.
Wow. Okay. I love that you're starting so honest and real because I think it has been for a lot of people. I don't know if we actually just talked off camera about this and you're like, I'm not really into the spiritual woo-woo stuff. But interestingly enough, 2025 is a 9 year. I don't know if you pay attention to numerology at all, but nines are about endings. And so I've been hearing that from a lot of people that it's like this weird year of like really being tested in ways that you almost like wouldn't expect. So I actually love that you opened with that because I think so many people are on that page right now. And I'm glad you're here to talk about it. Because for those of you who don't know, Carly is one of my clients who's been through my program. And Carly, let's just start with what before we started working together, which was about when? What month was that? I was like
I know. I was trying
March?
to think about that.
April?
Yeah, I think it was April when we actually started together.
Okay. Gotcha.
But we
Okay.
were starting to chat with each other in March because I would have met you
Gotcha.
for the first time in person at the Women in Wealth Gala.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And tell me at that time, what was life like, both from a professional and a personal standpoint, and even just like internally, what was happening and externally?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I'll go back to March when we first met each other. Professionally, life was very busy. Myself and I've got another colleague. The two of us run this incredible program. It's a women's program for a financial institution. So we are consistently at all of the events connecting with women in the community while we're building a strategy, while we're indirectly leading 88 different team members across the province. So busy and a little run down would probably be where I was at when I first met you. And then personally, I mean, the week after I met you, we had a huge personal thing that changed in our life when my stepson was diagnosed with cancer. So
Mm.
it was March definitely blew up our lives.
Yeah, all the things at once. And what was that like? I mean, aside from the stress of like work and being busy and leading a team, like that's probably like the most relatable thing that my audience is familiar with and what that looks like. But like
Yes.
how what was that like getting that news of hearing that he had cancer and like as a child, like I could not even put myself in your shoes, but like what what was that like? What was the immediate response from, like, your heart?
For my heart, I felt it felt broken for him. It felt broken for my husband. It felt broken for bio mom. It felt broken for his siblings. It felt broken for me. Um, but also me as a person. It also put me into that warrior mode too, right? I felt like I had to take care while everything else was crumbling. There's a lot of things that I was trying to put into place so that I could felt like I could control something, right? I think us as
Mhm,
top performers, we always want to feel like we can be in control of something. And when you get news like that, that's totally out of your control, right? So I was grasping at anything I could to feel like I was in control of something that had to do with that situation.
that's a really great point because it is true when when things that we don't have control of start to crumble or fall, it's like we grasp for it in other areas. So explain to me how that was showing up in your life. Like how was that playing out for you?
Yeah, I mean, from the moment that my husband called to let us know that we were meeting with an oncologist, um, their mom was at our house at the time and picked her up, got her into the car. First phone call I made was to my brother, who is an oncologist. And at the time, he lived in London, England. So it would have been like 3 in the morning for him as I'm making this phone call to him. And the first question was, who's the best pediatric oncologist that you know? He says, and of course, he's like so dazed. He's like, what are you talking about? What's going on? He's like, I'm not sure. Hung up on him. And then, of course, I made the next phone call to, we've got a friend here in Edmonton who he is a surgeon, called him. He was the next person of, okay, you've worked at the University of Alberta Hospital. Who's the best pediatric oncologist? And of course, he's like, breathe. I will find out and I'll get back to you. And for me at that moment, it was just knowing that I was able to make sure that we had the best care for him because that I knew that that was one thing I could control. And then once we kind of let our entire families know, and this sounds so ridiculous, one of my next phone calls or emails was actually to our wealth advisor, which is like bizarre. But I wanted to know that our finances were going to be okay and that if Dale went off work, are we going to be okay financially? So again, that was just something that I knew I could control. I knew we had these savings. I knew we had this and this and this. And I was just like, okay, what does life look like for the next at least 6 months going forward? So it was just those
Yeah.
little things that I was like, okay, what,
Yeah,
what, where can I get my house in order essentially?
right, like forward planning for this rainy day that was coming,
Yes.
right? Okay, and now
Yes.
and talk to me about, like, internally what that was looking like in regards to, like, your stress and even how it was maybe, like, affecting work because obviously that would be the most important thing on your plate, right? It's like everything takes a backseat to that, of course, but also knowing you, I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, you would have done your best to not let it affect work or carry into work or even just, kind of wear the corporate mask that we all do. So talk to me about how that translated or like was it difficult? Was it like you kind of numbed yourself out? Like what was that like?
Yeah. You know what? I would say I used work as that distraction, right? To not think about what was actually happening for us. As soon as Landon got the all clear to go back to work or back to school, sorry, I said, "I'll go back to work too. Like we can both do this together." And I know that I wasn't showing up as my best self because I felt very distracted, right? Like I would be working and I'd be having the conversations. I even think about I went to an event a month later after this all happened, the first event that I'd been to. And I remember standing there talking to a woman, and she's talking to me about her business. She's so passionate about it. And I just was not making that connection. Like it inside, like it wasn't clicking. It wasn't who I usually am. It was like I was shut off. And I remember calling Amy, my colleague, after and saying, I'm sorry, I didn't show up like me. And I don't think I should have been at that event. I don't think I was ready to be there yet. Cause I didn't realize I was in fight or flight after, until I met with you, right, Mintu, and we went through all the exercises. So that's where I was at, is I was not I thought I was showing up until I went to that event and I went, "Holy smokes, I'm not showing up my best self right now."
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's, it it's great that you even had the awareness that you weren't even there. Do you know what I mean? Or that you were disconnected from the moment or not present in the moment. Because it's like, obviously, listening to your story and what you had found out at that time, it's so understandable why you weren't there in that moment. But even so many of us are going through our day to day like that, even without getting such, impactful news. And I'm curious, like, did you now going through what we've gone through when we kind of talk about that and like knowing what you know now, did you feel like even before you got that news, you were like operating in fight or flight? Like, can you see how that was showing up in life even before you found out? Okay, if you're an executive who's craving more clarity, happiness, and a sense of real inner peace in your day to day, make sure you hit follow so you never miss an episode. This show is here to help you lead, succeed, and actually feel good while doing it. And if something resonates today, give it a like and share it with someone else who could use a little bit more calm in their life too.
Yes, 100%. I think when you and I first started and going through that first module and reflecting on the different areas of the fight or flight, the freeze, on all that kind of stuff, I remember going through it and I remember writing down with each one, like, when did you first start feeling this? Or do you remember the first time this you started feeling this way? And I remember sitting there being like, holy smokes. I've been feeling this way for a really long time and operating at this point for a really long time, like probably longer than I should have. Like I think I when we talked, I said, I feel like that started in my early 20s actually, when I was very young, a store manager for a very high performing business. Um, and having to deal with teenagers at that age and like managing teenagers, right? And
Hurting
like the
cats.
stress that comes from managing teenagers plus running a business. Like I always remember having a district manager saying, pretend it says Carly's store at the top. How would you run this business? And so I always had that in my head. Every job that I went to from there was, how do I run this as my business? But I think that that's when it first started, is being in your early 20s and having to do that much, that young. That's when I first started noticing it, and I'm sure I went in and out of it, but from that reflection with you, I was, "Holy smokes, I've been here for at least a year, at least, if not more." So,
Well, and the thing is when you're in your 20s is like your body's so much more forgiving. Right? It's for
it is.
the late hours and the constant push through, like, you can bounce back so much faster, and then when you start to hit your 30s and even older, then things that don't bounce back as fast, it starts to linger and sit with you, and then you go, "Oh, okay, like, how long do I wanna sit in this place for?" You know? And so,
Yeah.
it's the reason I wanted to ask you that is because I find when people go through, again, something that's like a life-changing event, like you guys experienced, it's it's it almost just amplifies the current state that you're in. Like, no doubt you're gonna go into survival mode because it's a scary thing, like, it's literally survival mode, but then it also just kinda amplifies where the body's currently at, you know? And so that's why I was curious if, like, you had realized how well, I knew from working with you, but just, like, sharing what it was like to know that you've lived in that space for so much longer that like, before. What other symptoms did you find of burnout that you had really noticed? Like you mentioned, like being in fight or flight, you mentioned like having that moment of realizing you weren't even with the person in the conversation. Like what else did you notice was coming up that you almost had chalked up as like normal, like this is just how I'm productive or this is just how I am versus like then realizing like oh no, like my nervous system is shot.
Yeah. I would say probably the biggest red flags for me would be kind of that end of day, like, once you've finished work, and, like, the endless scrolling,
Mm.
not sleeping well. I'd be waking up all the time throughout the night, and then you'd end up scrolling because 'cause you're like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna do something to shut my brain off." Even when I'd watch a movie and I'd just be scrolling, I'd be doing 2 things at once and not even focusing on the movie. And I think also just that quality time with your family too. Again, you'd be looking at something else or focusing on something else and not being present. And I think that those were a few of the signs that I didn't even realize. Like I was like, okay, well, I'm just decompressing at the end of the day, and I want to just scroll through my phone, and then all of a sudden you're there for an hour, and you're like, oh gosh, where's the time gone, right? So, or even I think about like ordering in way more than we do now in comparison too, right? It would be like my brain just didn't even want to think about making dinner or doing anything else. It was like, let's just order something in, let's just do this. Yeah.
That's a great point. Something as simple as like ordering in more. Like I know when I was at the peak of my burnout, I don't think I used my kitchen. Like it was it's just I was working so much, but then it was because it's like takeout, 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 takeout. And it was just like I did not even have the capacity to cook something for myself. And like to me, I've always looked at cooking it kind of like a love language. Like I think it's something that you do for the people that you love for yourself. And it's like it's nourishing, you're giving your body, nutrients, but it's like when your capacity is shot, it's like that it's like DoorDash or Skip the Dishes is like your number one friend, right? Like just, "What
The
can we
top
need
app
a
you used
new."
in your phone.
Totally, it's like the app that has the most time spent on it. It's
Yes.
like Skip the Dishes, like, trying to find new restaurants to add to your rotation, and it's
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing, but then even that, then the body, like, ends up getting more inflamed and then you're not getting like the amount of protein or healthy nutrients or whole foods you need. And it's just this crazy cycle. But again, even to what you're saying with the phone, it's we live in this world where we're so inundated with distractions and even something like ordering food in is still a distraction, right? Because it's taking you out of the present moment. It's just finding a quick fix for the hunger pain that you feel, but it's not actually like bringing you there to like be present and to be intentional with what you're putting in your body, right? So that's a great one that you just brought up that. And the texting while you watch a movie. Like I know I went through a phase where I'm like I'm not watching a movie with a subtitle because I'm not gonna be looking at the screen. I'm gonna be looking at my phone while the movie's on in the background. So if it's all in Spanish, I'm not gonna know what's happening.
So true.
Oh, the silly things we do as humans, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, Carly. So now you've found out this news. I think we started working with each other, like you said, not too long after, right? So as we went through this process of dealing with how to manage your stress better, not only just professionally, but obviously with what you're dealing with personally, what was like the biggest shift or aha moment that you had? Or maybe even the biggest like wow, like just wow moment for you that you're like something finally clicked.
Oh gosh. I feel like it took a little while for us to finally have that clicking moment because I can keep thinking about the amount of times I would meet you. Like maybe it was by week 4, I want to say. I remember saying something to I can't remember exactly what it was that I said to you. And I was just like, oh yeah, this happened for the week and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, wait a minute. You realize that that's a huge breakthrough, right? And I was like, wait, what? Like, I think it was something as simple as I was like, oh yeah, I finally like made the bed for the first time in like months. Like, and actually made the bed. Like my pillow's on pretty, like did everything
I
nicely.
remember that.
Yeah, and it was just, like, something so simple that I was like, "Oh, okay, I've got more capacity now," like, and I'm realizing, like, I'm reprioritizing different things, and I now have that room for those that little thing, right? And I
Yeah.
think
Oh
that
my
was one
god.
of my aha.
Totally, I forgot about that, but you're right, I do remember that right now when you told me, you're like, "Guess what I did every day this week?" You're like, "I made the bed and I, like, folded the bed sheet underneath and I made the corners, like, nice," and I was like, "Whoa, pause for a minute." I was like, last week you could barely get up out of bed, and now you're getting out of bed with time to make the bed nicely and set it, and it's like it's such a great point, Carly, because, like, I know I have people who start working with me and they're kinda I think they're under this impression that, like, I'm gonna wave a magic wand and then one day they're just gonna have magical energy that reappears and it's like, "Oh, it's just I'm just fixed now." You know what I mean? But it happens gradually, and it
Yeah.
happens in moments like that, right? Where it's like all of a sudden, it's like, again, I could barely get myself out of bed, but today I have the capacity to make the bed nicely. And I did it almost every day this week. And like so many people would downplay what that means, like, cause big whoop, it's a bed. But what it shows is like, I didn't prompt you. Your homework wasn't like, make the bed this week. It was like you naturally having the capacity to actually just want to do something, um, something that was like, what's the right word? That was just present and intentional and had nothing to do with productivity or solving a problem in the moment. You know what I mean? Because that's usually where high performers go to spend all their energy when they're shot is like, forget the bed. It's got to be put towards like checking this task off the list or emailing this person. Like it has to be tied to some type of reward or task accomplishment. So the fact that you had this space in your body to be like, no, I'm actually just going to make the bed this morning for myself. It just showed such a subtle shift in your nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even like, cause like we said, we started together in April. And I think about July and August, I remember talking to you too. Like I finally slowed down too. I took the time with the summer to slow down everything. And I remember also talking to you about being like, I feel so uncomfortable. Like everybody's on vacation, like work wise. I want things to move forward and I don't like that it's slow. But then on the flip side, I was starting work later in the morning. I was taking my time to get my daughter to daycare in the morning and like spending time with her before we go to daycare. So it felt nice to slow down. And I think that that was another aha moment for me was, like I said, April, May, June. So 3 months with working with you, I finally was like, okay, it's not the end of the world if I don't start work till 9 o'clock.
Right. Okay. So let's hit on that a little bit more because I literally just had this talk with a few people on a group call last night about this because I think every leader at some point goes through the thought of like, no one's working fast enough for me. Like, and then they get to the point of like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to do it all myself because you guys are either not doing it the way I want it to be done, or you're not doing it fast enough. Do you know what I mean? And we get in this mode, but then the other side of that is now we're taking on all these things that either maybe aren't part of our role anymore or we just don't want to do and then we end up in this resentment cycle, right? Because it's like
Mhm.
we don't have the capacity to delegate or trust other people are just going to take care of it when they take care of it, but then we end up taking it on when we really don't want to. So talk to us about what that was like for you. Like you just said it, like the summer came, you found a way to slow down. How did you do that? And what did you have to like what were practical steps you had to take to help like get to that point of being like, "Hey, you know what? It's okay if things aren't moving as fast right now. It's okay if people are on vacation." Like being able to kind of surrender into that pace. All right, guys, quick pause. If this episode is hitting home, I created a free burnout quiz that takes less than 2 minutes. It helps you pinpoint exactly how burnout shows up for you and what shifts you can take to start feeling happier, calmer, and more in control. Most executives tell me the results feel eerily accurate, so head over to the link in the show notes and you can take the quiz there.
Gosh, and do I feel like it was having conversations with you is what made me realize that that was okay. And again, I think also with my colleague that I work with, the fact that she went through everything with you as well, it was really great for the two of us to actually bounce things off of each other. And I think that I mean, I feel like we have an advantage having two of us that have worked directly with you and gone through everything that we've gone through alongside you. Um, It you know what? I just had to sit in the uncomfortableness though of it too, of just being like, "It's okay." And it's okay to not take on everything. Because I remember you and I having a conversation maybe a month or 2 before that being like, there was something that had happened and I'd asked someone to do something and they hadn't done it yet, and so I was just like, "It's fine, I'm just gonna do it." And I was just sending an email. And I remember us talking that out and being like, "Well, what could we have done differently and let that person take that on and send that email instead of you doing it," right? So I think that was kind of the first aha moment of, Carly, you don't have to be in control of everything when it comes to that stuff.
Mhm.
And the more work that I take on from other people, the less capacity I have and and on the flip side, I have to say no to something else, which usually that no ends up being on my personal life, not necessarily my professional side of things.
Right. Okay. So tell me how you work through that discomfort. though, right? Because that's where like people are like, okay, so I can say I know I just need to like it's okay, I don't have to take care of it, or I can let someone else handle it. But like, what were things that you did to like to reinforce into your body like, "Hey, I can let this team member take care of it, and when it gets done, it gets done." Like, what were things that helped you kinda work through that? Because people are hearing you and knowing like, "Yeah, okay, okay," but, like, push comes to shove, and they're like, "Ah, I can't do it." You know what I mean? So, what were practical things that helped you?
Um, you know what? I think this might sound silly, but I feel like there's a lot of times where I just refocus my energy onto something else, something that I myself needed to do, um, and and just let it be. And I know that that sounds easier said than done because you're right. There's so many times you get in your head, you're like, oh yeah, I could do it, I could do it. But yeah, I totally would refocus my energy on things that I needed to do and things that were important to me. And I sometimes I would make little lists in the morning of like, okay, these are the top priorities that I personally need to take care of today. And if I had that meeting with somebody else, it's kind of like like that stress cycle we were talking about, right? It's like you go to this meeting, you're like, oh, you're getting asked to do something else. And I'd be like, no, that's yes, I could do it. But there's somebody else that is so more much more qualified than me to do that. Why wouldn't I let them do that? Why don't I trust them and show them that I trust them to do that, right? And I
Mm,
think that was a big shift for me too was I want my team that supports me to know that I trust them. And by taking that step back and letting them do that shows them that I have trust in them.
mhm,
And
mhm, and
and that's something so important to me is having trust with the team.
right, right, but you're right, it's like a two-way street, isn't it? Like, it's not only, like, showing them that they can trust you, but it's also showing them that you can trust them and you want to
Yes.
lend that trust to them. It's not like you're earn it, you know what I mean? Like, trying to make them, like, prove themselves to you, like, it's like, "No, I want to trust you, so, like, how do we make this relationship work together?" Right? And the other great thing that you had mentioned earlier is about sitting in the discomfort. And I think that is so great that you mentioned that because, like, it's natural that, like, again, is a situation where you're gonna pass something along to a team member, and then that pit in your stomach comes, and then there's the guilt that sets in, right? And you're like, "Oh, I should just take care of it. I could take care of it faster. Like, then I wouldn't have to worry about this." And all these stories start to happen. And then the body, I find, typically just gets restless in some way, shape, or form, right? And then you're kinda like, "I need to do something about it," right?
Yeah.
I get the heebie-jeebies.
Yes.
But what you said is so key about sitting with the discomfort and, like, not letting the discomfort make up a story that's not true. Right?
Mhm.
Because that's what typically happens is we get this restlessness in the body and we think that's a sign to fall back into our old patterns, right? Like the
Mhm.
guilt, the whatever that is, oh, this must mean I'm being a lazy leader or something we're going to fall behind somewhere when really that discomfort is just a sign that you're doing something new and different, right?
Yes.
And it's not a sign that you have to go back to your old patterns or you're being a bad leader. It's just a sign that this response of letting them handle it is different for us. And that's what you
Mhm.
did so beautifully and what you just mentioned is you just allowed yourself to sit through it instead of like needing to act on the discomfort. You just said, let me sit here and let me focus the energy back onto something that's actually for me or that's something that's actually my responsibility. And it paid off, but I'm sure it
Yeah.
wasn't easy.
No, and I mean, I feel like that cycle of growth that we talked about and those exercises, that really helped me too. Like very beginning, sitting in it was not okay for me. So I would get up, I'd walk around my island, I'd go for a quick walk outside, get some sun on my face, just to refocus and make that guilt go away of like, no, that's okay. Get out of my
Mm.
head and back into my body, right? So,
Yes, yes, exactly. And that's the other key thing, right? Because what happens is for people who are very cerebral, which are like all my clients, like people where their brains are superpower and what's gotten them to where they're at in life now, when that kicks in, they try to think their way out of it, right? Where what you said is so brilliant. Something as simple as just get out of your head and into your body. Go for a walk. Go let the sun hit your face. Like activate some sensations in the body. And it's amazing how quickly your state can shift up so then now at least again, you have the capacity to be like, let me just focus back on my own stuff for a bit. Like even if I don't know what I want to do over here, like just let me just step away for a moment, it gives you that space to come back to yourself, right? And again, it gives something as simple as walking around your kitchen. Like, it doesn't have to be anything complicated. It's just like get up and move, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, what would you say is the other biggest, like, revelation you had about yourself during this time as far as, like, maybe even just, like, behavioral things that you were like, I don't know, I guess I have one thing in mind I wanna ask you about essentially, because I remember when we I don't remember what session we were at, probably pretty early in it too, maybe like week 3 or 4, and I was like, "You know what, Carly?" Like, you'd come to these sessions, you'd always have your homework done, you'd have, like, all the things I asked you to do done, and you'd share everything with me, and you'd be so efficient in your words, and I remember one time I was like, "You know what, Carly? I feel like you're holding back a little bit," right? Like, "I feel like there's more happening and you're not quite letting me in yet," and you're like I remember you're kinda like, "Oh," like, well, maybe I should just ask you, what was your take of that when I said it? Were you like, "Geez, who is this chick?" Or like or what? But then I think you know where I'm going with this. I think that was telling of, like, where things unfolded as you went along. So, like, maybe just tell me that first. What was your first reaction when I said that to you?
I was like, "What the hell?" That was literally my first thought. I was like, here I felt I, in that moment, thought I was being vulnerable and open and doing what you told me to do so that I can get these things done, so that I can get out of fight or flight, and I'm taking all the steps that I'm supposed to be doing. And I think I was caught off guard when you said that to me. I was like, "What? What do you mean I'm not what? What do you mean I'm not letting you in?" And but it caused reflection for me that night of being like, "Carly, you're doing exactly what you do at work where you come, you're on, you're getting things done." And yeah, it was a reflective moment, but yeah. I was like, "Who is she telling me this?"
Well, and, like, even as you say it now, like, that could have gone a couple ways for me because you could have interpreted it as like, "Hey, I'm sitting here pouring my heart out to you, and you're still calling me out," type thing, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can see how there would be, again, a moment of like, "Whoa, like, kinda what's happening here?" Um, but what I do think ended up happening from that moment is you're right, like, you're so great at being polished, you know what I mean? But what I saw unfold from there is just, like, letting a different side of Carly come out, you know what I mean? And, like, letting, like I think for you, what happened so beautifully is, like, even going back to what you said at the beginning of, like, trying to control everything and then having to be in survival mode, granted what was going on with your son, it was like there was almost like a fear in the body of, like, acknowledging that things were affecting you on a human level, you know what I mean? It's because I know sometimes what we do as humans is we get scared. We're like, "Well, I don't even wanna say the potential negative thing because if I say it, then it's almost like I admit defeat." Do you mean? So we think we
Mhm.
just gotta not acknowledge that at all and just like everything's happy and everything's great. Not saying you were necessarily there, but I think that especially when you're going through something where a child's sick, it's like you probably wanna dial in on the positivity so much. But then there's also some beauty in being able to just like express any fear or sadness or, you know, um, just even, like, emotions that you have regarding it, you know? Like, would you say that, like, kind of affected how you handled that journey moving forward?
Uh, Definitely, I would say yes. Uh, and I think something else that we had talked about during my journey was I think I was also really stuck in that masculine energy too, right? I was in the doing, I was in the providing, I was protecting, I was doing all of the different things. And I think from that conversation, it also made me realize how much more I need to tap back into that feminine energy and allow
Mm.
myself to feel different things, allow other people to do things for me and be taken care of. So, yeah, I think it was an aha moment having that with you, and too, because you're right. I feel like after that, I was truly vulnerable with you from then going forward and let you know how mad I was or how sad I was. I remember telling you, I was like, I'm realizing how angry I am about this situation. So I think I told you someone like honked at me or something like that. And I just got like the rage within me. I was like, what the hell's your problem? Like, I just got so mad. And I was noticing I was getting mad about things that I usually would not get mad about. Right. I think I told, like, I remember telling you about a bathtub situation with my daughter and how I just like got so mad in that moment. And I was like, okay, there's obviously a lot more feelings in here, and I need to go talk to my therapist and work through some of these things as well as working with you. So it definitely unlocked a piece that I think I was keeping very, very tucked in deeply.
And it's so I love that you shared those very real examples because it's especially for a parent. I'm not a parent yet, but like, there's I I have a lot of clients who are, and you have these moments where maybe you have a little less patience with your kid or whatever the case is. And then the 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 usual thought process is like, why I should have known better, I should have had more patience, and you kind of judge yourself for having that moment. But then it's being able to look deeper and realize that that pent up energy often is stemming from somewhere else, where you're trying to hold it together so strong, where it's like if you just let yourself have a human moment in wherever it's coming up, it actually allows you just to be more centered and grounded overall, right? Not saying that your kid's never gonna test you again and you're never gonna have a moment, but but even just having that awareness of, like, that it wasn't even about the bathtub or the honk or whatever the case is, right? And just allowing your body to feel safe enough to express these things, and even, like, I wouldn't mind if you elaborated a little bit more because I know a lot of my female clients go through it, that aspect of being stuck in your masculine, right? Because the reality is the business world is masculine. That's the reality. It's much doing, it's leading, it's things that are more masculine energy leaning. There's definitely space for feminine energy in there, but from all the women I've ever met who've done things in the business world, we've all dealt with that as far as like almost like leaning too far one way or the other. And in my experiences, that usually leads to further burnout because you're more kind of disconnected from the true essence of who you are. So you mentioned like letting people do things for you and show up for you. Like, talk to me about that. Was that hard? Was there a certain like trick or like thought process that kind of helped you release and soften into that? Like what worked for you?
Yeah. Hmm. I think like I remember some of my frustrations would be also like I felt like I'd come home from work and I almost felt like I was stuck. I remember us talking about this. I felt like I was stuck in between the feminine and masculine when I'd come home because I was really trying to start leaning more into my feminine energy. And some things that worked for me was this was Minty's idea. Obviously, it was your idea, Minty, of like that shared list of things of like so my husband and I started making a shared list of all the things that we wanted to get done throughout the house throughout the week and allowing him to take things off my plate. Since he's been off work as we were going through everything that we've been going through with my stepson. And yeah, like I think that almost felt like a weight lifted. So it was nice
Mm.
to finish the day and have dinner ready or even him just, like, offering to go to the grocery store instead of me going to the grocery store, like, little things like that, or even think about letting people open a door for me. Something so simple of just they open the door and you're like, "Thank you," and that's it, instead of, like, I know sometimes, "Oh, no, no, don't worry about it, I've got it," right? Like, don't worry about it, I can do it, and yeah, so just saying, "Okay, thank you," and that was the biggest thing that I just shifted into is it felt uncomfortable, but I would just say, "Thank you." And that was it.
Mm.
And it just got easier and easier every time though. Like every time I'd be like, "Okay, thank you. Like I appreciate that." And yeah.
Right, but if it so that the joint list, like you said, about, like, sharing things together, like, all that is just allowing your body to receive, right? And
Mhm.
and the default is usually, yeah, like you said, "Don't worry, I got it. Don't worry, I can take care of it." And it's like, again, simple things like opening a door or, like, carrying the groceries, and it's like, you kinda get stuck in this like, "Well, of course I can do it." It's like, "Well, yeah, okay, you can open a door, but also, like, can you receive?" And, like, I do believe as women, especially, like, in business, that's one, like, competitive advantage we have is our ability to receive when we know how to tap into it. Like, it's another way to to attract business and to attract partnerships in a way that, men can do it, but I just think it's more of our superpower. And so like you said, just in little ways where it's uncomfortable at first, it's like the more you do it, the more you just let people step in to help you and support you. It's like the body relaxes in a different way. Right. And then it also opens you up to like, what else has the universe been trying to send me that I've been saying, don't worry, I got it to instead?
It's so true, and I think even just in general, since working with you, I feel more comfortable just asking people for to do things or asking for help, right? Of, "Hey, I got a lot on my plate right now. Can you take this off of it?" So, that's been
Mm,
great. It's been great being able to do that. It truly is life-changing. Like, I was talking to you about this. Everything that I've done with you has significantly changed my life into, like,
mm.
truly.
Well, I'm really grateful to hear that. And like, but Kate, again, double down on that a little bit because these are things people are like, "What do you mean people are helping you more loud?" Like they're like, you come into it being like, "I just need help," and then it feels like no one's helping you, and now you get to this point, like so now that you're more comfortable asking people for help, what is the response? Are people like, "No, I don't want to do that," or they're like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
happy to do that." Like, tell
yeah.
me, what is it like?
I would say 90% of the time, unless it's your child, it's always, "I'm happy to help." You say it to your I've got a 14, 11, and a 4-year-old. You say it to a 4-year-old says, "No, you do it yourself." But all most adults have said, "Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to help you with that." Or I've had situations where they've said, "You know what? I wanna help you with that. I can't do it right now. Is it okay if I do it tomorrow?" And that's okay too. I'm like, "Yes," because you're taking that off my plate and making my life a little bit easier. So,
Mhm, mhm. Well, and even what it does is it shows your subconscious that, like, that act of being able to ask for help also shows your subconscious that, like, "Hey, we don't have to be in survival mode. It doesn't always have to all be on us," right? Like, it does something for your psyche when you just get in that habit and get in that skill set and bring more comfort into the body because at one point, when you are scared to ask for help, the only reason people don't do that is because they feel like if they do that, they're gonna be rejected or it's gonna show that they're weak. Like, it's a protection mechanism why we don't ask for help,
100%.
right?
Yes.
So but it's a fake protection because you're not actually protecting yourself from anything by not asking anyone for help. You've created that story in your head. So when you do it gradually and more frequently, and then the body goes, "Oh, it's okay to do this." Now you're signaling to your body like, "Hey, we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders." Like
Mhm.
there is more out there. There's more support. There's more help, and it just right? Like, it just lets you breathe, it lets your shoulders come down. It makes life a lot more enjoyable.
Yes, I would agree. And it makes me be able to say yes to more things too that I wanna say yes to. I wanna be very clear on that piece of I say no to things that I don't wanna be part of, and I say yes to things that are very true to me and stick to my values.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay, Carly, we're gonna wrap up here quickly, but okay, one more question I wanted to ask you is, so, obviously going through what you guys have gone through with your stepson, who, by the way, is in remission now, everybody. Yay, we're so happy for him. Woohoo, that's amazing. Like, with everything that you've learned during this journey of working together as far as like your nervous system and how to manage your stress and not only applying it to your business life but even to what you guys went through personally, like what is the biggest like advice or encouragement or support, like what would you want to tell someone who's maybe feeling like you were at the beginning of this, just feeling like completely stuck in fight or flight in their business world, maybe having some things going on at home that they just don't, how to properly manage, and just feeling like they have to do everything themselves and feeling like they need to
Mhm.
control everything. Like, what would you say to that person right now?
I would say there's a few things I would say. I would say, 1, it's okay not to be okay, and recognizing that what's going on is not okay for you and it doesn't fit within your life. Um, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that finding somebody like you, Mintu, to help you get through it is truly I it's there for you. You gotta look in the right places and be open to it. I even think about back into when we first started talking, I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, it was like I was putting up my own barriers, um, to getting the help from you and the guidance from you. I think that that's what I would say is be open to people that wanna help you and help you get through it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Like, I know I'm at a point in my life where I don't think I'll ever not have a coach of some sort in my corner. It's just now I've been through my own type of coaches from, like, spiritual to business to fitness, and it's like just having someone point out those blind spots for you, it just relieves so much unnecessary suffering, you know what I mean? And, like,
Mhm.
hitting your head against the wall, like, it just makes the process a lot more palatable, if you will, you know what I mean, and less lonely also, you know?
Yes.
So I'm glad you shared that. And, like, one more thing, it like, now looking back on where you were back in the spring versus where you are now, like, tell us how life has changed. Like, how are things different, and what does life look like now professionally and personally versus how what you shared when we first started?
Yeah, I remember when we first started, you did the breakdown of, like, the percentage of your capacity, and I was over 100% for everything, right? Like, once we tallied everything together. And I think that since doing everything with you and, like, the great tools that you've given me to reflect on things, I know I'm gonna hit fight or flight at some point in time. Things are gonna stress me out, things are gonna happen, but I have this amazing toolkit now to help get out of that and get back into a really great place. So I think, like, from a capacity standpoint, I have so much more capacity now to focus and be present with my family at the end of the day, to be present with those conversations that I'm having with women that I deal with every day. Like I said, that event right after, right? I was so tuned out. Um, I care more. Like, I feel like I am truly me and I'm there and I'm listening and I'm present for all the conversations that I have. So that would be one of the biggest changes for me since we connected in April at the very beginning.
That's beautiful. It's so beautiful because we don't realize we're missing that till we have it again. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, you
Yeah.
just get into this rhythm where you think, "Oh, it's just normal. This is just how it is," until you feel present in your body again, until you're able to connect on that level again, and you go, "Wow, like, I didn't even know that was missing from my life."
Yes.
Right?
Like, it's funny what you think about back, you said, "What's your dream life?" And it was so simple, my dream life, because you were like, "You could go for the stars." And I remember what I said to you, it was just the most simple dream life for me. And I think it's because I was operating at such a high go, 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 go pace. And all I wanted was to slow down and to keep it simple. Right. So,
Mhm.
and that's where I feel like I'm at. I feel like I am achieving my dream life and still being able to achieve everything in my career at the same time.
That's the best way to end this. I'm you like you said, I'm achieving my dreams professionally, personally, I'm present like that. I think that's what most humans want. No one
Yes.
really needs anything that luxurious or fancy. They just want to be where you're at. So I can't commend you enough for the work that you've done in this process. It's been, like, so incredible for me to witness, just seeing you open up and, like, to the point where you're sharing your story on stages now with people and letting people know about what you went through and just bringing humanness to life. Like, it's just been really incredible to work with you, and I'm so proud of you and all the work that you've done and all the growth you've had, and it's just, like, I've said this to you before, but you and Amy, I think that the women that get to work with you guys are so incredibly lucky because you understand, like, you not only understand the stressors that can affect them, you've done the work to not get stuck in that place. So now when you're talking to them and you're offering them advice and guidance, you can speak from not a level of just, like, pure motivation, right? Like, you can speak from a level of, like, "Hey, I know exactly where you're at. I know exactly what it takes to get out of that and what's on the other side of it." And it's like, that's so invaluable to have. So just, like, it's been so incredible to witness, and thank you for being here and for sharing with everybody, and yeah, it was amazing to chat with you today.
Thank you for having me.